it's always so gratifying to see such widespread support for the department's proposals. My sense, Mr. President, is we need some clarity ourselves before we can figure out how to proceed on this. I, for one, would like to have some clarity on the legal front as to just what our liabilities and the challenges are here before we go to notice on anything, this proposal or another. I don't think we have enough information to proceed under the circumstances. We've had really good testimony, good engagement by the public and by stakeholders, and the department's got a proposal before us, but it may not be the proposal that we want to take to notice. So I, for one, would favor putting this off until we have a more comprehensive picture of just what our exposure is here.
Okay. Any further comments from any other commissioners? Commissioner Richards?
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, appreciate all the comments and information that's been provided here today. Although I'm not, I need to say, I'm not always 100% buying into the ultra dire financial consequences. If this were adopted, I think it would certainly be a negative impact. But I don't know that it puts everybody out of business. But it's nonetheless, the concepts are good. As I look at the proposal in front of us, one of the things, there are two items that trouble me most. The first is the most important, and that is I am not convinced, nor have I, and I haven't heard any compelling need to do this. I'm not hearing that we've had any environmental challenges. I haven't heard that there are ongoing problems. What I have heard is that we want to be big government and collect a lot of information at the cost of the people who own the ponds or manage the ponds, and then how that adversely affects that group. So I'm challenged with just the magnitude of something like this without, in my mind, a clear and concise problem. The second thing is I am personally, this is one of my little hot buttons, and I know you guys have all heard this before. I'm speaking primarily to my fellow commissioners.
Your mic just turned off.
Well, it's probably better. I'm particularly challenged by number 6, page 6, number 6, the impact on regulatory action. This is a real pet peeve of mine, and as I read through this thing and I think, who wrote this and what are they thinking? Impact on the creation or elimination of jobs within the state, the creation of new business or elimination of existing businesses or expansion of business in California. None. Really? I don't think so. Program, let's see, cost or savings to state agencies or cost savings and federal funding to the state. None. Not going to cost us anything to do this. It's interesting. So anyway, you read through that and it's just like, I don't know, I think maybe it does cost something. I think maybe someone will be affected, and most likely adversely. So rather than continue it, I think what I would like to see is that we give direction to the department that this is a non-starter, and come back to us if there's a need and if they feel the requirement to do so. Come back to us with something more workable, because to continue with something that's kind of so far out there seems to me to be the wrong direction. And I think our job, as a matter of fact, it's agendized, is to give some direction here. And I think the direction is we don't take any action on this, and that if they feel the need to bring it back to us, bring back something that looks a whole lot different than what we're looking at.
Commissioner Bayless?
Thank you. I agree with both comments by both commissioners. I think the best signal, and I think staff worked hard to get something, and we got some points and observations, but I think we clearly heard well from the public and the aquaculture community that we've enabled and helped. And one side point, I think we need that aquaculture coordinator that we had, and we need to see that position filled. And So consistent with Commissioner Richards, I'd like to see us reject or stop this process, but still consistent with Commissioner Sutton, I think we need to evaluate something in a measured, methodical way, working with the aquaculture community, something we can move forward with that works for all parties. You know, I think any negotiations is to improve or not damage the relationship between parties. I think we've had a good relationship with the agricultural community, and I want to move forward improving that, not damaging that. So that's my.
Thank you, Commissioner Bayless. I'm probably of the exact state of mind of all my fellow commissioners, in that I don't think we have a package here with which we are comfortable for legal reasons, as far as Commissioner Richards and Commissioner Bayless is concerned, perhaps some technical reasons. I'd like to add a personal reason into this. You know, being in my 8th decade, a very long time ago, I was taken up to the mountains by my Cub Scout troop, and you can guarantee that I was not fishing wild trout. I was clearly fishing stock trout. And that experience led me to be so interested in the out of doors that I ended up being an Eagle Scout. And it led me to spending my life in wild California, which I have done. From a societal perspective, we're worried about the last child in the forest. Here we have the ultimate example of how you woo the succeeding generations to become people who are stewards, who care about the natural environment, not their damn Xbox or their texting to their buddies. I am categorically opposed to anything that would stand in the way of taking our children and educating them in an environmental perspective, which very much this industry does. So I need a great deal more from the department, and I think the department has got that. I think the department has heard and is informed by a great deal of the testimony we have received today, and from my fellow commissioners whose eloquence is right up front. They spoke from the heart, as do I. So I would propose, as current acting president of the commission, that we ask the department to come back to us at their leisure when they are ready to answer the concerns that have been expressed by my fellow commissioners. Do my fellow commissioners have any other comment? Commissioner Bayless?
Well, as long as we're clear that we had asked the department to come back. They came back with something, but I think we have to give them a toggle switch on what this was presented, and I'm of rejecting what was presented, in addition to what you just suggested.
Oh, I would submit that if the department were to come back with the same thing,
They weren't listening.
yes, someone wasn't listening. That's for sure. Any further comments from my fellow commissioners?
Just one.
Commissioner Richards?
Just one briefly, Richard. Thank you. You know, it says status update and possible commission guidance on amended statements. So, just so that we're clear, because I think this guidance is clear, and I know staff has actually asked for that, and I think legitimately, legitimately so, that I'm going to go along with where Jack is on this as well, that we say we're rejecting what you have here. And then whatever you feel this does need tied up, whatever we do need to clean up, whatever, let's take this in a little measured more, and much like what Mike said as well, let's take a little more measured approach here so that we can bite off pieces of the apple that need to be and not have some grandiose thing that causes so much.
Because
so
apparently there are some legal issues that need to be
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. And by the way, and I know I'm speaking for every commissioner here, I'll just say I'm positive. Nobody is more concerned about the protection of the resource in California than us. We take it really seriously. We have different opinions on what needs to and when needs to and those things, but we're all focused on that. So this is not to say we're not interested in protecting the resource or we're not interested in complying with legal mandates. We are. But this is not the document to do that. And so I think the direction that I would like to see is that we are rejecting this and that we're saying, but the door's open to come back to us with something more appropriate.
Thank you, Commissioner Richards. Does staff wish to weigh in here on something that, for perhaps a synopsis of that which you would feel comfortable with at this point?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Rogers. For clarity, because I know the department's getting an assignment here, it sounds like. What I'm hearing is, obviously, the draft eyesore that was submitted over a year ago, too big a bite, dead. But I also am hearing that the Commission is interested in the Department relooking at the critical issues and approaching it more in a stepwise, manageable approach rather than trying to solve all the problems at once. Is that a fair characterization? And then also to address a clear picture of the legal landscape you're faced with.
Commissioner Richards?
Thank you. My direction would be, and just from my end, is the rejection part we're good with. And I'm not directing them to come back to us with anything.
Okay.
I'm simply saying that if they feel it's appropriate, then that's fine. If they say, you know what, we went down the wrong path, this went nowhere, and we're never going to talk to you about it again,
Understand.
then that's okay as well.
Understand, Commissioner Richards. I personally have a slightly different twist on that. I agree with the first part, but I'm a little concerned about having been told that since 1991 the Commission has been doing something, apparently had passed a rule that apparently has some question legality, and I need to get that answered. Because
I'm certainly on board with that. That's what I'm saying. If they see issues there that need to come back, great. We're not saying don't, but I also don't think we're directing them to come back to us either.
You know, I'd like to see these all these small businesses that came up, all these people to come back wherever time from now and saying, we're working well with the department, we like where this is going, this is a great industry, we want to see these folks prosper and do well as we take care of the environment. So
yes, well said. It may not be, as is always the case. No one likes to get regulated. So consensus is an impossibility. We all understand that, but I think it's suffice to say that the department has our ear here, but so does the regulated public. So I think, are we all comfortable then with that direction, Sonke?
I think I can explain and work with the department to see if an emphasis on the legal setting, landscape, and then work with them on whether they want to bring anything else back to the table at some point in the future, working with industry and affected parties.
Are you comfortable with that, Kevin?
Yes, I am, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, the Fish and Game Commission stands in a 10-minute recess.